Okay, Watchman of Ephraim, USA here. A Donald Trump, last president of the United States, exclamation point, question mark. Well, this update has to do with him making a statement that he is ready to pull the United States out of NATO. Also continues to deride, mock the NATO countries, and they are getting more angry at him. So keep that in mind. Because if this nation is Ephraim, and I believe it is Ephraim, and that's what I witness, the last king of the house of Israel must suffer a certain fate. And I have that oracle. I've had it for some time. Again, let the spirits be tested. But if he indeed does pull out of NATO, that's when I will return to places like Facebook, start going on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I mean, I'm going to be a lot more visible. Maybe challenging Torah keepers to debates. I'm already going to start designing some videos to bring these teachers' names, in the titles to maybe get their attention and bring them into possibly debating me. Because I would hit them with things that I don't think they would have answers for. Because they're not studying the whole Torah. Anyways, if he pull, that's a big sign concerning what? Because what's going to happen is the United States basically does everything for NATO. What you're going to do, what's going to happen, if we pull out of NATO, you're going to have a vacuum, a big military vacuum. And what would that pave the way for? The rise of the eighth beast, Revelation 17:11, actually with no woman riding on it, because if you read in the previous verses, she gets it. She gets judgment. Her flesh gets eaten. She gets burned with fire. Of course, those aren't literal. Anyways, she gets destroyed. She gets annihilated because this Antichrist that's going to rise, he's going to have no desire for women or religious organizations under his realm. He's going to want direct worship, direct obedience, with the ultimate goal of going after the saints, I believe, and destroying them. And, of course, it will be granted to him to overcome them. Anyways, here you're going to have a great military vacuum, and it's going to cause the rise of this beast. And why is this beast red? Well, there are over 800 allusions in the 404 verses of Revelation. And they basically all point back to what? The Torah and the prophets and Psalms. A red beast is symbolizing is a symbol for, I'm a little slow this morning, Esau. You can match up Revelation 19, the latter part of it, where the beast is destroyed, or the armies, and Isaiah 63. So this is huge. But let's test the spirits. Could Trump change his mind? Guy's a loose cannon, man. Big Don, he's belittling these European leaders. He's deriding them. He's especially Starmer over in Britain. Our brother Manasseh. You're seeing prophecy fulfilled. The splitting of the two brothers. Isaiah 9 verse 21. Brothers to be at odds, biting and devouring one another in the last days. So, to the headlines. Not going to spend much time, if at all, reading. Trump threatens NATO exit, scaling up tensions with allies. He's threatening to get out. Going off the rails on a crazy train over this thing in Iran. Isn't this Iran war very bizarre? It's like, I don't know. Does it feel like everything's just out of control and completely being run by, not that it isn't, God is in control, but it seems like we're getting there right at the last days. Trump has criticized allies' lack of support for Iran war. President tells Reuters he is considering quitting NATO. So these countries, Poland calls for calm. Germany says it remains committed to NATO. British Prime Minister says country should pivot closer ties to Europe. So President Trump is driving Britain back to Europe. And while I'm there, this is kind of the theme here, the last part of verse 25 of Deuteronomy 28. And you shall become troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. We got an oil crisis. Well, not so much here. I mean, the prices, but over in Asia and stuff, they're in a crisis. A lot of the oil's not getting out of this Strait of Hormuz. Economies are on the brink. Who's going to get the blame? I will make you troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. United States. It's going to, first and foremost, it's going to be Jacob's trouble or the Great Tribulation. Satan's wrath against the house of Israel. Remember, the thing that has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. There's nothing new under the sun. Just as it happened in the past, king of Assyria took the tribes out by 722, 721 BC. So it's going to happen again. Another reminder, look at the nation of Ephraim, the tribe here. It looks like the United States, doesn't it? New England, Florida, Texas, West Coast. There's more of Dan here in this country than there is in Ireland and Denmark. And look to the north, larger than the USA, Canada. And then over here, not really larger, but over across a body of water, you have what? Manasseh. Canada, Britain. Okay? Trump lashes out at NATO allies over unpopular Mideast war, widening transatlantic rift. Continue to note that. So Trump threatening to pull the U.S. out of NATO and U.S. troops out of Germany, ratcheting up his criticism of European allies, and exposing a wider rift in the transatlantic alliance. Okay. Trump's rage at NATO allies is binding them together. Now notice, I highlighted this, against him. They're going to start to really hate this guy because he's belittling them, calling them cowards and mocking them. Because if he is the last king of Ephraim, of Israel, he has to suffer a certain fate. And this beast kingdom is going to do something to him. That will be a huge sign of who this nation is. And I believe, if true, it will give the people with the truth in this freak show spiritual world we're in, it will separate them. That's what I'm trying to do. To the Torah and to the testimony, if they don't speak according to this word, there's no light in them. Donald Trump's anger at NATO allies for refusing to join the war against Iran has so far achieved one thing: uniting them against him. Okay? So this Trump is going to play a great role if this is true. Bringing on the eighth beast, stirring up Esau. The two brothers are going to play it out again in the womb, which is the earth. These aren't snuggly bunny, fuzzy duckling children's Bible stories. Esau said, "The time of mourning for my father is at hand, and afterward I will kill my brother Jacob." You know, let the spirit, let the spirits be tested. Okay. UK's Starmer calls for closer Europe ties as Iran war, now notice, strains U.S. relations. So these two brothers, Ephraim against Manasseh, Manasseh against Ephraim, together they will be against Judah. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Now, if that happens, I got to get real busy. So he wants to return. If I may do a little reminder here. Let me go to it. Hosea 5. Notice what it says. Blow the ram's horn in Gibeah. Let me go up here. The Feast of Trumpets. Okay, now I did a video on this. The Feast of Trumpets, or the Day of Trumpets, or Yom Teruah. The day of shouting or the day of blasting. Now that's the 7 trumpets. Okay. Now the fifth trumpet is the rise of this eighth beast, when that pit is opened. The sixth trumpet, where a third of mankind was killed, is the Great Tribulation. And what has happened in the past as a type must happen again in the future. That's why I believe, and I should do a video on it, a teaching, Donald Trump cannot be the Antichrist, the Assyrian, the king of Babylon. Because what's he do? He's breaking up. He's not uniting the world, he's breaking it up. He's causing the world to get angry at him. Notice what it says here. This is the sixth trumpet. Why does he says, for they have begotten strange children. Let me get out of that. Pagan children, strange children. Look at our kids today with basically bones in their noses and tattoos from their sole of the foot to the top of their heads. They look like monsters and devils and okay. They have begotten pagan, strange children. Now notice, now a new moon shall devour them and their heritage. It's the day of trumpets. That there's it's a feast day where it falls on a new moon, a sliver moon. A Rosh Chodesh moon. Blow the ram's horn in Gibeah. Notice this. That's the shofar. That's a warning that war is at hand. The trumpet in Ramah. Cry aloud at Bethaven. Look behind you, O Benjamin. Okay, if we have the old... Hey, look at Benjamin. Look behind you. Okay, look behind you. Notice what it says. Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Now notice, among the tribes of Israel I make known what is sure. Who's going to get it? Read Jeremiah 32. Read Jeremiah 30 through 32. What tribe is singled out? Ephraim. Okay. Notice what Trump called the Europeans, his allies, cowards. Trump blasts NATO allies over Hormuz. Without the USA, NATO is a paper tiger. Keep that in mind. One of the reasons for NATO was to keep, one of the main reasons for NATO was to keep Germany down. Who's he attacked the most? Germany. That's who I believe is the Assyria. And that has to do a lot with that oracle that I have. Let the spirits be tested. Donald Trump lashed out at the NATO allies, raging at their refusal to join the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran and help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Without the USA, NATO was a paper tiger. Called them cowards. Notice, cowards, he concluded. We will remember. Well, Europeans are laying up what he's been saying about them. They're slowly stirring them up. Okay? Let's see what happens. Okay? If we leave NATO, that's when I'm going to get real active again. I'm kind of in hiding. I'm staying, let me go on. Okay, those are the headlines that I wanted to show you. I was going to pull up some more. It's causing misery, especially over in Asia, where there's a big oil shortage. I will make you troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. And if I may do a quick review here. How can we know that Europe is this Revelation 17:18 Babylon with a woman riding on a beast? Okay. Europa, the goddess Europa, riding Zeus. Notice it's in the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. Get it? The thing that has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. Okay, that's an illusion. That's a clue in Revelation. And then you have a red beast. Esau against Jacob. Read Obadiah, for example. Read Ezekiel 35. These two countries and these two nations I will take for my possession. That's Ephraim and Judah. Sip of coffee here. Okay, so we have what? Okay. Saw a beast rising up out of the sea. In front of the EU parliamentary building. That's Europa holding up the letter E, obviously. Europe. EU, Europe. Europa. Yeah. Woman riding a beast in front of a European government, EU government building. Okay. A euro coin. Woman riding a beast. Okay. So, if all this is true, Big Don is stirring them up. Okay. If he leaves NATO, the United States is basically NATO. Well, you create a vacuum. Because they have Russia that wants to retake the former Soviet satellite countries. And this guy just so arrogant. You're creating an enemy again. Well, let's see where it goes. That's your Donald Trump, last president of the United States. Ephraim, exclamation point, question mark. Let's see what happens. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.